Hey everybody, Stu Smith here going live. I hope you are well today, this Monday morning. So I do these live Q&As on Monday and Tuesday at 9:30 Eastern Time. Monday I just take some questions, but before I take those questions, I talk a little bit about a topic that I'm going to write about this week. And then on Tuesday, do the same thing, but then we show some CSS videos and we'll critique CSS videos. If you want to send them to me, you can either send them to me by DM on Instagram or you can email me, stu@stusmith.com. That's what most people do, but I get a lot on the DMs too. So let's talk about little something as you guys congregate. Writing this article, actually, I wrote this article and sent it out yesterday, and it's called "You Have Not Spent Much Time in the Pain Cave." And what does that mean? If you read the article or on my news or email list to get that article, you probably got it yesterday, but it's up on stusmithfitness.com. You can check it out. And it's where many spec ops candidates fail to go. And this conversation occurred between two candidates of mine a while back ago. One was a little older, played sports in high school, wrestled in college, and just needed a little bit of help with swimming. And he was like ready to go. And he's done really well in his pipeline of choice. Um, he's about 22 at the time. And then we had another kid who was like 17, 18, maybe he was 18. He's out of high school. Um, he did wrestle in high school too, but he just wasn't quite there compared to this other guy. And he just made a comment like, "How are you crushing all this stuff?" Right? Because it wasn't just a PST; it was lifting and rucking and swimming with fins, and there's many things that are on this big list of activities that you should prepare for, before you go into these journeys. And that was just one of them. Um, or I should say, that was one of many of them. And this kid was good at the PST, needs some help with swimming, but run and PT. He's a wrestler, he does pretty well. But there's like a 4-year difference on these two. And the other one made a comment and said, "Look, man, I've been like working out hard since I was 12 years old. I wrestled high schoolers when I was 12 years old, got my ass kicked to me, and just kept on grinding. I played multiple sports in high school, wrestled in college." He goes, "I've just spent a lot of time in the pain cave." And that conversation just kind of got me thinking, because since he has gone on and done really well with his training, and I really didn't spend a lot of time with him. I literally probably spent about 2 months of swim and treading and just water skills with that guy. But he had everything else from just mental toughness, because he was just so tough. He could run, he could rep out anything. He was strong, pound for pound, not a super big guy, but pound for pound, just really strong. And he was in and out of here in about 8 weeks, whereas a lot of people are here for months and even longer, even over a year sometimes. But that kid's life was just spent busting his ass in the pain cave. And I just thought that was kind of cool, and I want to differentiate something real quick to you about what is the pain cave, right? It is not something where you have to go to and hurt yourself to get there. It is just grinding whenever you don't feel like doing something, but you do it anyway. And we all go through it, especially when you're young. I mean, I know we all have woken up in the morning and didn't feel like going to school, but we did anyway. And you wake up early, you don't feel like working out before school, but you do it anyway, right? Or you are on a swim team and you're doing two a days, first thing in the morning and in the afternoon, looking at a black line all the time. Sometimes you just don't even feel like getting wet, but you do it anyway. Those are the little things that put us in that zone and just starts building resilience and long-term mental toughness that now you can get to that point if you have to, and it means a lot for bigger challenges in your future. But if you haven't done that, it may take you a couple of years to really prepare for that next level journey. So whether that is a spec ops journey or it's a college journey or athletic journey, a academic challenge, whatever that is, that's going to take you years of grinding, um, you may want to try to prepare yourself mentally and physically for those activities. And that's really what I do. That's what I focus on. I help people realize that hey, this is a longer road than you think it is, and you need to put in some time, right? Because it does matter. So anyway, check out that article. It's over at stewsmithfitness.com. Um, it's got some good points in it, and it was just a basic discussion, between two candidates that are about 4 years apart and a lifetime apart. Also, I mean, it's when you see it, when you have guys that are just come in on day one just crushing everything, they've been spending some time doing this. And then you got the other guy who comes in and is like, what's the PST? How far is 500 yards in this pool? How many laps around a track is a mile and a half? Come on, man. If you don't know those answers, you are so far behind the power curve. You got to get moving. All right, folks. So I'm live over here on Instagram and I'm live over here on YouTube. Tomorrow I won't be on Instagram. I just do the live Q&A with CSS critiques over on YouTube because I can share my screen better. It just looks a little better. You guys over at Instagram over here just be hearing me talk about this guy's swim post. So if you want to see that, come over to me on YouTube and Monday, Tuesday live, 9:30. All right, so we got some questions. You guys can start posting questions now if you got them. I'm starting your seasonal spring tactical fitness to improve my running. That's a good one to improve because it is progressive. Like it starts off after a winter lift cycle of maybe 10 to 15 miles a week and builds you up to 25, 30 miles a week over the spring, mixing in more calisthenics than lifting. So I'm going SF. I don't need as much swimming. Should I replace all the swimming with fins as a part with rucking? You know what? Be progressive with your rucking, but that is a great question. Yeah, if you don't need to swim, because I put swimming every day in my programs, and especially the seasonal tactical fitness. My advice is do this. If you can add more running, add more running. On leg days, you can replace the swims with fins with a ruck. And primarily, though, here's what I would do. If you're kind of new to running and the progression is enough for you already, replace those swims with non-impact cardio. So what I mean by that is do for every 500 yards of swimming that you're missing, do 10 minutes of biking or cardio. So usually the workouts are somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 yards. So you're looking at 30 to 40 minutes of non-impact cardio activity if you want to go with the non-impact option. All right. When I do push-ups, my performance in pull-ups drops a lot. But the muscles that these both exercise are different. Why does this happen? Good question. I mean, there are muscles being used in both, but you're right. The primary mover of those muscles, a push-pull motion, are completely different. But it could also be just pure blood sugar and glycogen that are affecting you, right? So you're just burning out with fuel, not necessarily getting worse at your pull ups or push ups. Does that make sense? So make sure you're either adding some rest in there with some maybe carbohydrate drink real quickly in between sets, um, or do them on different days. Try that. Try instead of doing full upper body push pull on one day, do a push then pull, like Monday, Tuesday, push pull, and then on Wednesday, do legs, push pull legs. That's a great split. It just depends on, what you're making for yourself. I'm motivated by those who came before me. Imagine trench warfare, warfare one. So, okay, I'm not sure what your question is, but thanks for the comment. Um, Might have missed it, but where is the older guy from your article at his journey of the pipeline? Um, there's one in there. Uh, oh, you're talking about the article I just talked about? It's over on Stu Smith Fitness. In fact, let me do this. If you go to right here, I'm going to post this into the comment section over here on YouTube and Facebook. You can definitely find it right there on that page, if that's the one you're talking about. Now, the other one is um, Jeff and I did a podcast on the older guy pairs buds. So just going to the old Google machine. In fact, there's an article on military.com. Yeah, there's a couple of different things. There's a podcast, Tactical Fitness Report 112. Jeff and I did this one. In fact, I'll put this comment section, but there's also two articles on military.com that I wrote. The old guy prepares for buds and the older guy prepares for special ops. Older guy wants to join special ops. So two different articles out there, just two different situations. But yeah, plenty out there on the older guy. If you missed it, you didn't know how to use Google, because that's where you can find it. Or you can go to Stu Smith Fitness and search the question. Is it common for people in spec ops to have a side hustle, or do you believe that ruins people's focus on a real job? That's a tough one. I mean, because here's the deal. There's a lot of people that have hobbies in special ops. Some of those hobbies are running triathlons, ultra marathons, bodybuilding, right? So I've seen those occur. Some people play with the stock market, right? I mean, so there's all types of little hobbies out there. I don't know if a side hustle is one of those things that requires as much time. But I tell you what, man, if you're training for an Ironman and let's say you're at a special operations command, they're not going to be very happy with you like coming in exhausted from doing a 8-hour workout the day before, or getting injured because you're wrecked on your bike, um, or you're just doing so much lifting for the bodybuilding competition, you come in dehydrated and jacked and you can't run. So there's some issues with that kind of thing. So, and that takes a lot of time. Now, if you just replace that time spent with a side hustle, would that matter? I don't know. I didn't see it when I was in. I don't think many people had side hustles. Maybe their wife was doing something, or a family member or something, and they may help. That I saw. But you really don't have a whole lot of time, to be honest with you. But if you can make it happen and not have it affect your life, then go for it. Um, okay, here's another question. You often recommend being able to do 5 times a week at goal pace, 30 miles total. Talking about running, I assume. That said, what are some of your personal thoughts on the 80-20 rule? 5 time goal pace seems like an injury risk. I don't know if I've recommended 5 times at goal pace. I've recommended multiple times at goal pace. But none of us, we ever do 5 goal pace running miles workouts a week. So if you look at that article that I wrote, getting to and through, yeah, there's a couple of goal pace miles on there, but there's also sprints. There's a non-impact day. There's a longer, slower distance day. Um, there's some intervals in there that aren't sprints and aren't goal pace. So check this out and come at it again. But no, I don't recommend 5 days a week a goal pace. Have I ever before? Sure. Depends on the person, though. Like, it's really hard to generically say, go do this, and it fits everybody's situation. But maybe in that one question, someone asked me, hey, I got 2 weeks to pass a 1.5 mile timed run. How do I do it? I'd say get to learning your goal pace. Run your 400s and your 800s at a 7-minute mile, so you pass that timed run. So you know, you can't take everything someone says and think it applies to every situation and even you as an individual. So, once again, the answer is it depends. Somebody asked a question over here and on Instagram says SOAS versus enlisted after graduating college. Thoughts? It's up to you. The jobs are similar, especially at first, but then they tend to change a little bit as you go through, and you have to really want to lead in those situations. Um, so it really depends. Jeff and I did an article and a podcast, officer or enlisted. In fact, I want you to type this into the Google machine, officer or enlisted, Stu Smith. Ask Stu, is officer or enlisted better SEAL option? All right, so I'm just going to cut and paste and put that into the comment section over here on YouTube. But all you have to do if you ask that question over on Instagram is Google it. Podcast 29. Jeff Nichols and I discussed the officer versus enlisted, but there's a whole bunch of officer versus enlisted things and a whole bunch of opinions. I have seen people um, with college degrees enlist and do well and love it, stay enlisted. I have also seen them enlist, do well, go to OCS later on, 5, 6 years later, after some on the job experience as a active SEAL. But I've also seen them go straight to SOAS. All of them are great ways to get into the teams. It's just up to you how you want to do it. If you're having doubts, you might want to go in as enlisted and then check it out for yourself. See if that's something you want to do. Or maybe if you have that college degree, try the officer route, the officer application process, go to SOAS, get a good taste of what So as is and buds is, you get a 2 weeks at the SEAL teams. That's a great little exposure to what you're about to do. Um, and then after you go through that whole process, one, you learn the process of how that works, and then two, you can make a decision. You know what? Maybe I don't want to be an officer, and take your name out of the hat and go enlist. Or let's say you get picked up and you're an officer. Just do the officer job if you want to do that. You're going to meet a lot of officers. You're going to meet a lot of great enlisted guys. You're going to meet a bunch of other dudes that want to be officers. It may show you whether or not you fit into that crowd or not. I don't know. Give it a shot. I usually have kind of an initial blind recommendation for everybody. And I know this doesn't fit everybody's personalities or desires, but I say you have a college degree, take a look at the process of becoming an officer because it is an option for you, right? If it doesn't work out and you don't want to do that, go enlist. Become an officer later. Don't become an officer later. It's up to you. Good question, though. I like that one. All right. No questions over there. Let's see what else we got. All right, here we go. Yes, Stu, as an older guy that started at 40 plus with you, it can be done carefully. If your family duties and time, as you say, I'm speaking from experience trying out for spec ops in the past myself. Okay, I'm assuming you're talking about your side gig. Is that right? Or are you talking about being an old guy starting the journey? But yeah, that's good to hear. In your 50/50s, what do you consider fast in freestyle? How hard are your guys pushing it? I don't remember a video where I saw your guys swim freestyle. Yeah, it's in there. I show a lot of 50/50 swim workout videos, either on Instagram Reels or on the TikTok page. All you got to do is look for the title says 50/50. Um, Yeah, the guys are pushing pretty hard. They may not be looking like they're going that fast freestyle because, quite frankly, they're not that great at freestyle unless they came from a swimming background. So, what I have them do is just skip breathe. So, they're breathing like every 6 to 8 strokes per breath. So, they get a little more winded on that freestyle 50, and then they have to catch their breath on the CSS. Let's see. Over here on Instagram, Roman says hitting a plateau in calisthenic numbers. Should I emphasize more strength training? You know what? Probably not a bad idea. In fact, here's something that we do during our uh, max calisthenic cycle, which was this past summer. In fact, we just started the fall training this week. Um, is every fourth week we do a strength week. So we drop the miles, we drop the reps in half, and we just lift and we run a little less and we swim about the same. Um, I have found that to be very helpful for people who pick up tendonitis from high rep calisthenics workouts and just typical burnout. Because if you're doing a calisthenics cycle for 12 to 16 weeks, it burns you out pretty good. You may need to throw in a deload week of your own, or you can make it kind of a block periodization model where you do 3 weeks of cals and cardio, 1 week of lifting. Now, we do the same thing in our lift cycle where we'll do 3 weeks of lifting, 1 week of cals and cardio as our deload week. And that also works really well. Not only does it help give a little break from the recovery demands that lifting imposes, it allows us to maintain some of those uh, high rep gains and endurance gains that we had from the previous cycle. So I do recommend um, considering that one. In fact, if you do Stu Smith block periodization, there's a couple of articles on there and programs that I've written that take that into account. So new spring, summer phase. This is just one for fact. It's one that would apply to you, and it's over here on my YouTube channel. But it's called Spring Training, New Spring Summer Phase 3-to-1 Block Periodization. 3 weeks of cows and cardio, 1 week of strength, taken through the whole summer of about 16 weeks. Works really well. Not only do you maintain your gains from the winter lift cycle, but you actually do get faster and better scores on your PST. Good questions. Let's see. I did a base build block with LSS cardio, long, slow, steady cardio, I guess, and heavy lifts to build aerobic system. 2 months into speed work, I got injured and had to rest a month. Do I start speed work over or build base again? Good question. I would probably do this. If you haven't done a whole lot, I would do maybe a month of kind of cows and cardio, steady state stuff, no sprinting. Then start your lifting and your faster, shorter runs. Then, for another 2 to 3 weeks, then start adding in your really fast runs. Because you do want to rebuild. You don't want to jump right back into it. Chances are you probably just got tight with the heavy lifts. And, I've seen that happen countless times where people just, they're lifting heavy and they're sprinting or even trying to get their run faster and it's a struggle. That's why I tend to coordinate my heavier lifting with more non-impact cardio activity, some running, but mostly just to stay warm outside or when we are lifting outside in the winter. But it does keep the blood flowing back there. But I don't really play around with a lot of sprints. Now, if you're preparing for like a football season where you're lifting heavy and you're doing sprints, that's a different story. But it also depends on your age and what your goals are. Some of the younger bodies can handle that a little better. Any tips for breathing, learning to swim? You got to get in a rhythm, just like you do with running. A lot of people don't realize this, but you kind of have to get in a rhythm with your running, like 3 steps inhale, 2 to 3 steps exhale. That rhythm is very beneficial to you not hyperventilating, getting your heart rate up too high. You can actually keep your heart rate lower, be in that aerobic zone a little longer versus, just losing it with no real uh, method of breathing. Swimming is a great way to practice that because you have to be on a chain, so to speak. So when that top arm turns, or that top arm pulls, I'm turning and I'm breathing right here, during that bottom arm pull, whether it's a CSS or it's a freestyle, I'm trying to turn and inhale with that top arm. So think about you have a piece of string tied to your nose to your hand. And when that hand turns, it's turning your head also, or turning your torso. So you are ready to breathe on that pull. Now, you don't have to breathe every pull. Like usually I breathe like every 4 to 6 freestyle pulls. So, just know that whenever you're ready to breathe, it has to be in time with that pull. Otherwise, it gets a little funky. Now, it's a little bit different with your breaststroke, but it's similar. You're going to breathe with both arms whenever you bring them into this position and then kick and recover. But it's all timing. Thinking about coming to you to train for a couple months. How is that done? Well, it is only done if you are preparing to serve. Like I unfortunately have to tell people, no, you can't train with us if you're not trying to join the military, law enforcement, or firefighters. It is for people who are preparing to serve. Um, so that's one. The other one is you just go to heroesoftomorrow.org, and you'll see what we do. You'll see the schedule on what we do, and you'll see the place where we train in Severna Park, Maryland, and Annapolis. So that is how it's done. There's a questionnaire in there you need to fill out. Let me see. No more questions over here on Instagram. Sorry if I'm missing any, like there's a lot of questions coming in or a lot of things that pop up over here on Instagram. If I'm missing any of those, just email me, stu@stewsmith.com. Happy to answer your questions. And if you email me, I'll probably answer them with a little bit more in depth and more personalized for you versus this 1 or 2 minute answer that I give that is somewhat personal, but also trying to be a little more general for the people listening. How to dive at 10 meters and make our ears adjust to that pressure at such depth. Okay, I want you to either one, take a scuba diving course and you will learn what that is, or go to Google and search Valsalva maneuver. Okay, I'm going to type this one in here. Maneuver. Oh, I just spelled manure. Um, Valsalva maneuver. All right, Google that. That will show you what you need to do so your ears don't hurt when you go 5-10 meters under the water. Basically, it's this: you squeeze your nose, close your mouth, and exhale through your nose, and you'll hear your ears pop. Once those ears pop and you're underwater, it equalizes with the pressure that you're putting on your body by being deeper in the water. It's called the Valsalva maneuver. Check it out. Very important. You will not pass a scuba diving class if you cannot Valsalva maneuver or any scuba diving, period. Do you have any tips on losing efficiency after a few hundred meters trying to swim goal pace? When my lats get tired, I have a hard time with streamline. Yeah, that's a really good question. But you need to warm up more, right? So get yourself good warmed up, stretch out. I would say my first 100 or 200 yards is a warm up, right? And if you're not stretching your lats, stretching your triceps, stretching your shoulders, even stretch your legs, um, you're not really getting yourself ready to do that swim. So my advice, whenever, any of my swim workouts that I give you guys, it's right at the very top, it says swim, warm up, 500 yards, or sometimes I'll just use meters. 500-yard warm up. You warm up during that 500. I don't care how you do it. You can do it with 100, stretch your arms, 100, stretch your back, 100, stretch your legs. That's what I would recommend doing. That would be a great way to work those things that get tight when you swim. I do the same thing when I run. Like my first mile of running, my body yells at me for some reason, and it's telling me, what am I doing? And then after a mile, I'm like ready to stretch a little bit and then get into my run. Swimming's not much different than that. All right, let's see. We got any other questions here? Looks like I got them all. Nice. If you got questions, send them because I usually let this thing roll as long as I have questions. If you guys haven't checked out that article I started off with, you got to. It's a really good one. Okay, here's another question I missed on Instagram. How common are waivers for people age 29 for enlisted challenge contract? Pretty common. You'd be surprised, but you need to go there crushing everything. Otherwise, no one's going to take you seriously at all with getting a waiver. And they're going to say, yeah, I'm not going to waste my time getting a waiver. You can't even pass PST. So go in there crushing that PST. Then they'll start taking you seriously, like, oh, okay, this guy's ready. And they won't BS you either because you're not an 18-year-old kid, right? They're going to, talk to you like an adult. You're probably older than most of them in the office anyway. Um, but yeah, they're pretty common. And 29 is not too bad. I think where it gets uncommon is over 32 from what I've been hearing lately through the communications of people who are trying to get waivers. Like I've seen a guy recently get, well, I shouldn't say that recent. This is within a year. But, he was like 30, 32, 33, probably 33 by the time he finishes SQT, get get a waiver, but then there's also guys that um, are not getting those waivers too. It really kind of depends on one, are you a really good candidate and ready to go? And two, do they want older guys? And they'll take older guys as long as you're a good candidate. Is there a difference between gliding like the elementary side stroke and the CSS? The top hand positioning? Absolutely. On my YouTube shorts, fact, I'm going to put this link in here. I do a side by side. On top is CSS, on bottom is the elementary side stroke, and you can see for yourself exactly what the difference is. In fact, I may even bring it on the live. But yeah, you go to my YouTube shorts, you'll see it. I don't have many YouTube shorts, so it's pretty easy to find. Elementary side combat side swimmer stroke versus the elementary side stroke. Check out this article or this video. Once again, on the YouTube shorts, also on my Instagram um, reels as well. What do you recommend for getting a perfect high ASVAB score? Study the ASVAB. I mean, take practice tests. Learn how to take that test. Otherwise, you're just guessing, right? You need to practice that thing just the same way as you would practice an SAT or an ACT if you're going to college. But study it. It's the only way to do it. I'm seeing some old students of mine up here on the Instagram coming in saying hi. Hope you guys are well. Let me see. I don't see many other questions over there. Yeah, if once again, if you're just coming in, um, if I don't get to your question, you can always email me, stu@stusmith.com. Happy to answer them. Do you recommend going for a billet at US MMA or enlist? That's US Merchant Marine Academy or enlist. I tell you what, man, that Merchant Marine Academy is the best kept secret. And I probably shouldn't say that because it's not going to be a secret anymore for too long. But you get a 4-year education for free, and you can serve in the military, any job in the military you want, any ROTC unit. You can go Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps, Army, pilot, submarines, SEAL. Now there's some things that you have to do, and you have to take the initiative to do them and get them there. But there's always somebody there to help you with the process, and it's impressive. Or you can learn how to drive big boats and make 120 grand a year after graduating college at 22 years old. That's not a bad deal either. So Um, it's up to you, man. Officer or enlisted, it's your choice. I tell you what, man, a lot of our guys around here have gone to the Merchant Marine Academy just because we are in the backyard of the Naval Academy. It's really hard to get there. They go to Merchant Marine Academy, got probably 3 or 4 that are Navy pilots now, got a couple Marines, got a couple SEALs. Um, this one dude, while he was a 19-year-old kid traveling around in the Merchant Marine vessel, circumnavigated the globe, went to like 15 different countries. I mean, that is cool stuff there, and that is the Merchant Marine Academy. Good ideas for shoulder pain. You know what? Talk to a doctor or a physical therapist first versus just hearing some generic ideas from me. Um, but I do have a lightweight shoulder workout. In fact, you can go to Google machine and type in lightweight shoulder circuit, Stu Smith. And in fact, I'll put it in the comment section down here um, on the YouTube page. But it's called lightweight shoulder circuit. It's pretty good. I would first do it without weights, but then never get higher than 5 pounds. It is that effective of a workout that you don't need heavy weights, or you can do bands. Bands are pretty good with it too. For underwater distance, do you consider dolphin kicks more effective than breaststroke kicks? It really depends on the person. I actually do a little bit of both now. So when I kick and glide, so I first think the double arm pull is the most effective unit of propulsion in an underwater swim, and then a really tight streamline. Then kick, breaststroke, and recover tight. And while you're in that position, throw a little dolphin kick at it, get a little more out of it, and then do another double arm pull. Right before you do that double arm pull, throw that little dolphin kick in there. Double arm pull right after. That works really well. In fact, you can do 25 yards in 3 strokes doing that. And that's the key to underwater swimming. The key to underwater swimming is efficient swimming. Where people screw this up is they're like, you know, 15 strokes to get across the pool and wonder why they're tired. It literally should feel like you're holding your breath and walking 25, 50 yards when you are swimming efficiently like that and just gliding. All right. So Jackson says, unorthodox question, but what are some good places to live in the area for a young person that are affordable, about to get out of training and want to relocate from the Virginia side near Annapolis? Most of the guys live in, I tell you what, first thing is do this. Come visit for a week, right? Don't just come here blindly and hunting for a place on Craigslist, and next thing you know, you hate it. You're in a bad neighborhood and, you know, don't like who you're living with or whatever, So come here, visit, meet the dudes. There's always somebody looking for a roommate, um, or has an understanding of where people are living and what's going on. I am not a travel agent in this sense, so I don't really have a good answer for you. Um, Prices around here are not cheap, but some people find some really good deals. So, once again, come visit for a week, stay at an Airbnb, something near Severna Park, Maryland, and then go back. And you may not like it. You know, you may think that I'm full of crap. I doubt it, but you may not. Our personalities may not hit off. And the last thing you want to know is, or want to do is do something that doesn't fit your personality or your abilities, whatever. At what point do I need to consider losing weight? I'm around 200 pounds with lots of muscle, but cannot get my run times down. Thanks, you're the best. Oh, thank you. Um, I've seen big 200 pounders running fast. So, 200 pounds is not that big. In fact, I've been 200 pounds for 20 plus years. And I will say this, I had my fastest runs when I was closer to 190. But I've still had 6-minute miles at 200 and 7-minute miles at 200 for longer miles. Um, so my advice would be to, yeah, sure, if you can lay off the weights a little bit and get a little better with your muscle stamina and endurance, you might see some better results. But it really depends on what you're trying to do, right? Are you trying to do some kind of special ops training, or you just want to be lighter and run a little better, right? So it really kind of depends on uh, what those goals are. Let's see. My friend from Denmark here is going into further military training in December. Doing your workout, should I adapt to just get the total amount of work during a full day, or try to get all of it at once? Do I make sense? I'm not sure what you're saying there. I don't know if you're saying like do the workout and go get a job or do school or something between now and then. Or are you saying spread the workout throughout the day? That's another option too. Um, you can definitely spread the workout, do your swim separately from your run, your ruck, and your, calisthenics, or do your lift and your swim later on in the day. That's definitely something you can do. Is it possible for a non US citizen to join the US Army Special Forces with a permanent resident green card? No. You can join the Army with a green card, but you cannot join any special ops, intel, anything that requires a secret um, security clearance until you are a citizen. In fact, we have a guy right now that should be going through his citizenship uh, ceremony here really soon. Very excited for him. He works out hard and just wants to serve because he's living that American dream. And I tell you what, man, you meet some people from other countries that really made that change from a really poor country with no uh with no opportunity to come here, and then they just work their ass off to provide for their family. Then he's still a teenager working to help pay the bills with his family, and he's working out hard trying to serve. You know, I think hmm, that's awesome. But yeah, you can definitely go join the military as a with a green card. You just can't go special forces. So my advice to you is, if you really want to get out of your situation and go join the military, go join the Army. Work your way up. Maybe try airborne or something, and do your time there. While you're in the military, you can get that citizenship, expedited. See if that works out for you. You might get some people in your chain of command to help you out. You have that big citizenship ceremony, and which I tell you what, man, those things are very emotional. It's you can see the pride in everybody. Um, do that. Next thing you know, after that, you can start putting your paperwork and prepare for Army Special Forces. But I wish you luck on that one. That's a good one. Let's see what we got over here. Um, how do you know when and how much to add to your workload without overtraining? It is magic. Um, it really depends on what you are doing to focus on your recovery. Because sometimes it doesn't matter what you do, you're borderline overtraining because you're under recovering, right? You're not sleeping well, you're not eating well, you're not hydrating and getting electrolytes. All of those things matter. So think of it like a scale. Like you can work out really, really hard, right? But if you pump up those recovery numbers, next thing you know, you're not overtraining, right? Those things stay low, you're going to start seeing the results of just low energy and potential injuries and loss of sleep. All those things will just snowball. So there is an article I wrote on overtraining symptoms. I think it's like symptoms of overtraining. And I tell you why I wrote this article, because I also call it under recovery um, versus overtraining. Um, in fact, you can check out this article, and yeah, this is perfect. This has everything in it that you need. So I know you wrote this over on Instagram, but I'm posting it right here uh, on YouTube. The name of the article is um, Recovery, Training Systems, Periodization, Rest, De-stress, Mobility, Nutrition, and Sleep. Right? All of this is needed for you to avoid overtraining. Right? If any of those things are out of balance, chances are you could be showing many of these symptoms of overtraining, which there's a whole card, a laundry list of everything from underperformance, physiological changes, mood disturbances, sleep disturbances, insomnia, all of those things. So check out that article because it ties it all together for you in a way that I think a lot of people don't consider. Not many affordable places in Annapolis. That is true, but outside of Annapolis, very affordable. As you get towards Severna Park, Millersville, a little bit past that, Pasadena, Glen Burnie, even. There's some areas that are pretty affordable. Let's see here. Good to see you, Steve. Oh, let's see. A couple more questions, then I got to bail. One of those days, I'm going to finish up this article. All right, I see there are some questions. There's a lot more questions over here. Wow. Yep, low T is another one of those overtraining symptoms. Um, all right, so take a couple questions here. For swimming for Navy SEAL buds training, is there a stroke that I should focus on? I'm good with freestyle and side stroke, but my breaststroke is horrible due to very inefficient frog kick. You don't need to do breaststroke. You can. You have to do an underwater recovery stroke. Side stroke or the combat swimmer stroke. There's two things. And I put a link in here that shows you the difference between the combat swimmer stroke on top and the elementary side stroke on the bottom. Both of them are viable swim options for the 500-yard PST. Both of them you can put on a pair of fins and swim for days using that stroke. Though you do change a little bit. Instead of a scissor kick or a breaststroke kick, you're just doing constant flutter kicks when you have fins on. So, yes, um, yeah, keep working. All right, so when you say 27 to 28-minute 4 mile, is that with boots and pants and sand or tennis shoes on a track? Um, Well, at Buds, it's going to be boots and pants on sand, but it's not soft sand. It's a harder pack sand, and those boots these days are like running shoes, right? The Nike Combat Gen 2, they're not your typical combat boot that weighs 2 pounds a piece. They're actually really good running boots. Also tried fueling strategy, and like you suggested last week, and only added 10 seconds as opposed to 2 minutes. I'm not sure what that means. Hey, Stu, when running 10 miles a day, is it okay to break it up with different workouts, or should I do it all at once? Yeah, not sure why you're running 10 miles a day, but go for it. You break it up however you want. Obviously, are not on my running programs if you're running 10 miles a day. But that's okay. I got a way to train, not the only way to train. All right, folks, been on this thing for an hour. Well, 55 minutes. So I got to go. You guys can check out stewsmithfitness.com for articles, programs, but also for sticking around this long. I appreciate it. Go use the Live15 coupon code, save 15% on anything you get over there. But yeah, send me questions if I did not answer yours to stu@stewsmith.com. And my web store is stewsmithfitness.com. All right, folks. I guess that's it. Tomorrow I will be back and we will do our CSS critique show and take some more questions. So until then, you guys have a good one. Let me know. Let me know what I can do for you.